Okay, I've gone ahead and finished out this little running budget total here. And you can see how it's handy. It's nice to see about what your bank account's going to look like at any given time. And you can see why a business would want to know this. Kind of as expected, you know, we dip right before we get our paychecks in, and then everything tends to work out well. But this is not really simple and clear information. Giant rows of numbers are hard to make meaning out of. So there's a couple ways you could think about this, and we've discussed graphs in previous weeks. That would be one thing to do. But here we're going to work with conditional formatting. So conditional formatting is a way to get Excel to visually display data depending on what's in that cell. Okay, so as a quick example, if we have a number in a certain cell, and we can get conditional formatting to say if it's equal to this number or greater than this number, change the color of the cell, all right, or make it bold, or any number of different things. What we want to do here is we're going to apply 4 separate pieces of conditional formatting to this cell, and to this entire column actually, and that's going to give us a lot better information about where we're at in our budgeting process at different dates. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is select column H and then just click this conditional formatting button right here in your styles box. Okay. And there's a lot of different things that come up here. This can kind of give you some easy information, all right, about what's good or what's bad. This first one makes a lot of sense for us. It puts higher numbers in green and lower numbers in yellow or red. So that's the easy way to do this. I want you to practice, so we're going to write some actual rules here, okay? And I want to start with writing a rule about numbers that are small, because that's what I'm really worried about in the budget, right? So I want to say if a number is less than, okay? So cells that are less than 1,000, let's make them red fill with dark red text. All right, that's a preset in Excel. It's really easy, and then click OK. All right, so now we look back at column H, and only one number in our budget has done this. Okay, we've also seen a lot of blank cells that have turned red because Excel thinks their value is 0, which is less than 1,000. But there's only one point in our budget where we have a red number. So that tells us something. That's good. But let's get some better information as well. The nice part about conditional formatting is that you can stack rules. You have multiple rules over the same set. So again, I'm highlighting all of column H just by clicking this H up here. I'm going to highlight cell rules. And this time I want to go, well, let's look at numbers that are greater than. Okay. So how about numbers that are greater than about 3,000? That's really good. So in this particular budget, greater than 3,000 is pretty good. So let's make those green. All right, so green fill with dark green text if it's above 3,000. Okay, and we see a couple points here where our bank account goes above 3,000. That's pretty cool, right? Excellent. Well, what about all these numbers in between? Well, kind of looking at this, we could make a rule that makes all of these numbers turn yellow, perhaps, which would be helpful to us, but then you're going to see a whole bunch of yellow and only a little bit of green and red, 3 spots of green and 1 spot of red. So I would recommend maybe changing a formula, all right? Now, remember, like I said, in conditional formatting, you can stack rules, but the problem with stacking rules is that the old rules still exist. Okay, so there's 2 ways to get rid of this. One is to clear rules, all right? This will get rid of everything. And the other one is to manage rules, okay? So this current rule says cells greater than 3,000 turn green. And we figured out that, well, that's not giving us very much information. So let's go ahead and edit this rule. And let's change it to greater than 2,500, all right? And the same thing here. We only had one thing pop up at less than 1,000. So let's edit that rule and say less than 1,500. All right. And if we're editing rules this way and we click apply, it's going to apply all these changes at the same time. All right, so I'm going to click apply and click OK. And that's some better data. Everything less than 1500 has turned red. Everything greater than 2500 has turned green. Now might be a time to go back in and add that rule for yellow. So here we go. One more, conditional formatting highlight cell rules, and now we want a between, right? So some people will be really picky here and say you should put 1501. I think you're fine putting 1500, but let's say, okay, so 1500 and 2500 was our upper bound, and let's make this yellow fill with dark yellow text. All right, there we go. This is a good looking budget calculator, and it really quickly visually tells us when we're starting to run low on funds. That's exactly the type of information I want you to be cognizant of giving to yourself or to your employees. Now, I don't like this little bit with the pink cells here. So I will add one more rule for you, and this is how you get rid of this. You go conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, more rules. And here you see this format only unique, sorry, hang on. Format only cells that contain blanks. And we can put our format to white fill. All right. And then all our blanks turn white, which makes our spreadsheet look a little bit nicer. All right. You can make them clear as well if you want these grid lines to remain. So there you go. That's the last thing I want you to do. Add in conditional formatting, but go ahead and when you're making this budget calculator, use numbers that are close or similar to your own, okay? I want this to be a tool that you might realistically use. Now, you don't have to give me your exact budget, but do something that's meaningful to you, okay? All right, that's all we have for this module. Follow the instructions and always let me know if you have any questions.